Wow, that was dramatic. Hey guys, and welcome back to another episode of Toby Talks Tech. This is my review of the Zpon Motorized Micro 2, which, as the name suggests, is a portable motorized camera slider that, although it is pretty micro, can support a camera workload of up to 4.5 kilos. Now, I do actually own a fair few camera sliders that I've purchased over the years, but this is the first one that I own that is actually motorized. In this video, I want to show you what you can do with the slider and what sorts of shots you can get with plenty of sample footage included. Then I'll talk about the specs and the features, the build quality, the motor noise and the versatility. And finally, I'll share my thoughts on what I like and don't like about the slider and whether I think it's worth your money. Now, for full transparency, this video is sponsored by Zpon. They sent me the slider to try out and to keep, and while I'll always try my absolute best to stay as unbiased and objective as I possibly can, I know it's never quite the same as reviewing something that you paid your own hard-earned cash for, so I'm aware of that, I hope you're aware of that, and I just want to be open and upfront about it. As always, you will find timestamps to everything I talk about in this video down in the video description, so you can jump to anywhere that you might find interesting. But now that you know my whole life story, let's slide right into the video. Yeah, you see what I did there, huh? Yeah. Okay, let's not bore you with the full tech specs up front. I've got plenty of time to do that later on anyway. Instead, let's look at some sample footage that I took using the Zpon Motorized Micro 2 on a typical grey Melbourne day out. Hopefully that gave you a good idea of the sorts of shots and especially the type of feeling that you can add to your shots using the Zpon Motorized Micro 2. And let's be honest here, none of those shots were anything really spectacular, just a little bit of slider movement added on top. But now let's look at the cold hard specs. The Zpon Motorized Micro 2 in its base version costs around about $400 on Amazon, around about 560 Australian. Now, do note that some configuration may not include the battery, so you may have to purchase that separately. Also note that I have it here with the Easy Lock 2 legs attached, which I really love, but I'll get to them later on. So I recommend try to get yourself a kit that has these legs included. They make your life a whole lot easier. Now, the slider itself without the legs, the battery, or obviously your camera weighs 1.8 kilos. The dimensions are 16 by 4 by 2 inch. And once you fold it all up, it fits really easily and nicely into your backpack, though it does add a little bit of weight. It's got a total travel distance of around about 21 inch or 54 centimeters due to the way the tracks are laid out, and while that may not seem like a lot, it does give you plenty of room to slide. It's made from Ariel, aluminum alloy and stainless steel and can carry a load of up to 4.5 kilos even when you're running the slider vertically. The motor noise of the Micro 2 peaks out at around about 39 decibels, which is comparative to a quiet library or a low urban ambient sound. There's very few physical buttons on the Zpon Motorized Micro 2, a power on-off button, which also doubles as the switch for the speed, and there's 3 speed settings: slow, medium, and fast. Then on the top of motor you have a forward and a backward button, and you can press those and the motor will kick in and very smoothly move the slider forward or backwards. The slider runs on standard batteries that you can purchase anywhere online, the F550, F750 and F970, and with the largest one, the F970, you can expect to get around about 14 hours of usage out of the slider. Now, while I personally prefer to charge my battery separately, you can charge through the USB-C port that is on the side of the Micro 2, but do note that this needs to be connected to a power outlet rather than the USB port on your computer. Additionally, there's also a 2.5mm camera cable release connector on the side of the Micro 2 that you can connect to your camera, either if you want to record time lapses or for any other time you want to trigger your camera remotely, be that for photos or for video. The slider also comes with a dedicated Zeeporn app, which is available on iOS or Android, and this allows you to either remote control the slider, and this actually allows you to have much more control over the speed rather than just those 3 settings. You can also configure and take motorized time lapses very easily, but you need to have that shutter release cable connected to your camera. You can also set up to 5 waypoints, define the speed between those waypoints, and then play back that slider movement or just have the slider cycle between them. Let's quickly talk about these EasyLock 2 legs that came with my version of the slider and that I highly recommend you do get if you are considering getting the Micro 2. They fold up really nice and easy. They're also very easy to take out. They're very versatile. They're very strong. They connect straight to the bottom of the slider to hold it up, and you can set it on any surface at an angle. I even held it up against a tree and got some really nice up into the tree shots. And at the bottom of the EasyLock 2 legs, you'll find a quick mount plate that you can easily take off, but it also allows you then to take the slider and the legs and mount that on a tripod and very easily get it on and off other gear. So they're super versatile, really easy. They just feel really quality. I'm really happy with those. Highly recommend that you do get them if you are getting the Micro 2. Okay, so here's the part where I bore you with my personal opinion about what I like and don't like about the Zeeporn motorized Micro 2. Let's talk about the things I love first. First off, and in my opinion, the most important thing with any slider is the movement, and it is super smooth. There's no wobble, no jiggle, no nothing. It comes out looking really professional. So even pretty standard shots with just a little bit of slider movement added start feeling really cinematic and very emotionally impactful. I'm super happy with how the shots come out, and that leads me to point number 2, and that is that the slider is just super easy to use. It's very compact, especially once you fold up the EasyLock legs. It fits right into your backpack. Now you will have to take your camera off unless you have a very big backpack, but it doesn't add too much weight, and you just literally just whip it out, unfold the legs, place it down somewhere, you turn it on, and you're ready to, record some really nice slider shots. Also, I was very happily surprised by the build quality itself. This slider feels really solid. Now, it does weigh 1.8 kilos, so it is on the heavier side, but everything is really sturdy. It feels like, I don't have to worry about throwing it in my backpack and carrying it around. I don't have to bubble wrap it or, just keep it in its sleeve in case. It feels like it'll withstand a fair bit. Now, I wouldn't totally abuse it, but the build quality is really good. Everything feels solid. Everything is kind of tightly integrated, and it feels like a slider that'll last me quite a long time. If I haven't raved about them enough yet, the EasyLock 2 legs, absolutely recommended. They make it so easy to get really nice shots and just set this whole thing up. And yeah, I've literally just held it up against a tree like this and then filled up the tree like that to get some really nice shots crawling up the tree. Again, just with the EasyLock legs without a tripod setup, and this just makes it fun and easy to use, and the shots just come out looking amazing. Now let's talk about the things that I don't like so much. First off, I personally don't find the app terribly intuitive. When I first heard that you can program and play back waypoints on this slider, I was really excited and I really wanted to get into the app. But the app kind of makes it a bit difficult to set up those waypoints and control the speed between them. You don't have Bezier curves, so the speed kind of ramps up and down a bit unnaturally. But also, in the app itself, I often can't tell which waypoint my slider is at. So when I play back, it may play back only a certain part of my waypoint setup, and I find it hard to tell what exactly is going to happen when I play it back, and it's a bit hard to see which waypoint my slider is at the moment. Hopefully there'll be some tweaks to just make that a bit easier to set up and configure, and then show you which waypoint your camera is at as it's moving through, just to make it a bit easier to control and get just exactly that shot that you're looking for. The next thing I wish the Micro did a little bit better was easing in and out of a shot. Now the slider movement itself, while it's moving, is perfectly smooth. There is no complaint at all. But if you're speeding it up, you'll notice that the camera speeds up a little bit and then slows down as I let it go. So can you see how there's a little bit of an ease out and a little bit of a ramp in? Now this only happens at the highest speed setting. On medium speed and low speed, the slider starts and stops a bit abruptly. So if you're getting a sliding shot and you want the start and the end of that movement in that shot as well, you'll notice that is a bit abrupt. And I wish there was a bit more control over doing it through the manual buttons on the slider. If you're using the app, because you got the radial dial to control the speed, you have a lot more control over ramping the speed up and slowing it back down. But if you're using the buttons, the ease in and ease out only seems to be happening at the faster speed, and I wish it was doing that at the medium or low speed, or allow me to control how slow it starts up and how long it takes to slow back down, just to get a bit more smoothness of either ends of the movement. I think that would just be great to have. The third and final thing that I didn't like so much about the Micro 2, interesting, has nothing to do with the slider itself. It's actually this ball head here that you can get included in some of the packages. I'm not a fan of this. It doesn't lock properly. Like right now, and you may have noticed this during this review, this is fully locked on, yet it does not take much effort at all to still move the camera. It's kind of like the ball head doesn't lock in properly. So I would highly recommend get yourself a Manfrotto ball head or something that, that really locks in your camera, especially if you have a 4 kilo camera on there and you're trying to do a vertical slide and this ball head doesn't lock in, your camera will just go smack on the side. So not a big fan of the Z-Pawn ball head that comes with some of the packages of the slider, but you can easily place any other ball head or video pan tilt head on top of it to make that really nice and easy. So yeah, I'd stay away from that one, but again, that's not really the slider itself, it's really just this attachment. I would recommend just getting something slightly different. And finally, neither good nor bad, just something to be aware of is the first thing is that you do need very solid tripod legs and a good tripod head if you want to mount the slider on top of your tripod, especially for vertical or slanted shots, especially if you have a camera on it. Like even here, if I move this camera all the way over to this side, with the weight of the motor, the weight of the camera extended all the way out, these easy lock legs don't actually hold. If you have this on a tripod that isn't really solid, this whole thing will fall over. And again, you could have a camera of up to 4.5 kilos on here because the motor will support it. But again, you need some really solid legs. Now the legs I like to use are the Manfrotto 190 X Pro 4, and I usually have a camera tilt head on there or something really solid, but just be aware you need a really good tripod if you want to put it on a tripod. Otherwise, easy lock legs, I often usually hold the legs if I'm extending it all the way out, but just be aware that obviously, fully extended with a heavy camera on it, it'll be a bit top heavy on one side. Also with the motor noise now, it is pretty quiet, and if you put any sort of music or ambient sound over your videos, you won't even notice it. But if you have nothing else going on, if you're just recording a shot, you may be able to hear that motor noise coming through. It's not super noisy, it ramps up a little bit if you go a bit faster. Nothing to be concerned about. You can easily remove it as well in post-processing. I've got tutorials on how to do that, link you down in the video description. But just something to be aware of. If it's super quiet, you will hear that motor noise, especially if your camera is actually mounted directly on the slider because you're really close to where the noise is coming from. Some features that you can see displayed in the Z-Pawn app may not yet be available, like tilt, rotation, and controlling your follow focus. When I first tried the app, it actually still said on those features still in development. Now the later versions of the app don't say that anymore, but I don't know whether they yet have the attachments that you need to actually control your tilt, your rotation, or the follow focus with your camera using this slider. But I'm actually really excited about that. If that becomes available and you can actually control your tilt, rotation, follow focus, and the slide, and you can actually, hopefully with a slightly more intuitive interface on the app, set all of that up and just play it back, that'd be amazing for filmmaking or visual effects or anything really. So I'm really excited to see that happening. It feels like Z-Pawn is going down the route of Edelkrone, who produce some really professional component-based slider system that can do pretty much anything. Now they are a little bit more pricey, but you may also be buying into a slightly more complete ecosystem. However, if you're just looking for a simple motorized slider that is super easy to use and gets you some beautiful slider shots, the Z-Pawn Motorized Micro is definitely a slider worth checking out. And that's all there is to it. I really hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please hit that like button. If you're new here, hit that subscribe button. And if you want to watch more, just click these links over on the right hand side. If you want to support me in what I do on this channel, be sure to check out all of the links down in the video description. And as always, thank you very much for watching, and until next time, I will see you later.